Hello, everyone. Welcome to Touchdown on True Sports, brought to you by Pickups, your everyday on-demand delivery app. My name is Chantal Alicia, and I'm going to be your host for today's show. Joining me today are my analysts, Nolan Kangas, Luca Moya, and Stephen Clennon. Today, we're going to be discussing everything you need to know about what happened in Week 5. So I guess you guys can all agree that Week 5 was actually pretty exciting, very, very eventful. So I'm going to start off with the hot topic of discussion right now, which is Le'Veon Bell, a 3-time Pro Bowl running agent who is now up for grabs. So Stephen, tell me, where do you think is the best place for him to sign?
Best place for him to sign? if we're going with the best place for him to sign, that's easy. I'd say Kansas City, hands down. If he wants to win listen to me. No, listen to me. If he wants to win a championship and he wants to produce for a team, honestly, why not go to Kansas City? They do need a running back. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's great. We were talking about him last week. Great kid. I like what he's doing. But if you get a talent like Le'Veon Bell to play with someone like Patrick Mahomes, that's like having Clyde Edwards-Helaire 3 or 4 years from now. You understand what I mean? Like, I think he still has that talent level that he can provide for that team and just make it easier for them to win a championship this year. And if he's looking to add a championship to his legacy, to his name, I think that's the best place for him to go. If Kansas City can dish it out and work it out, it's not that much money because we already know he got paid from the Jets. So he's not going to be looking to get money right now. He's going to be looking to get production and somewhere where he can win a championship. And I think Kansas City's that best place.
Man, I hope he does not go there. Man, I don't think I'll be able to watch Kansas City anymore. There were a lot of different ways that I was thinking with this. Buffalo, are they a good fit? You saw last night their offense. They do need another playmaker. Can Bell slip in there? Stays in the AFC East. Chicago, I think right now for me, I'm going to go with Chicago because one reason is you saw how good they were with Matt Forte, if you guys remember, years back. He was an amazing dual-threat running back. They haven't had that since he's gone. They've plugged in guys here and there, right? Tariq Cohen, he does good for what he's asked to do. David Montgomery, he hasn't had the best year that a lot of people thought he was going to have. Le'Veon Bell, you put him right in there with Nick Foles, Allen Robinson on that offense. This is a completely different football team. And with the defense that they have, they get the lead late in fourth quarters. You give that ball to Bell, they're going to ice the game every single time. I think Bell right there in Chicago is a perfect fit, but it might seem too perfect for Chicago because we know they never make the perfect or right decision.
I like both of those answers, guys. I had Chicago on my kind of short list here. I didn't put the Chiefs, even though that's sort of an obvious one. Mm-hmm. So I had Chicago, the Los Angeles Chargers, because Austin Eckler is going to be out for a little bit. But the team I saw that was the best fit was the Indianapolis Colts. And the reason for this, we saw Marlon Mack week 1, goes down torn Achilles. He's out for the year. So they have Jonathan Taylor. What was the one thing Jonathan Taylor was not very good at Wisconsin? He was catching the football. Yeah. Le'Veon Bell's one of the best pass catchers of the football at the running back position that we've seen in decades, right? So I think that would be a terrific 1-2 punch. We know Phillip Rivers can't throw it downfield anymore. The Colts are 20th in rushing this season. Nyheim Hines is a fine player, but could you imagine Jonathan Taylor, basically the thunder and the lightning of Le'Veon Bell instead of Nyheim Hines? I think that would really help out this Colts offense because their defense, as we've seen, they're really good right now. So I think that would be a solid fit. T.Y. Hilton, he's taken a step back. You need something that, bring some juice to that Colts offense, and I think that is what would be probably my favorite fit as well. Lev Bell heading to Indianapolis. That's what I would love to see. Will that happen? I don't know. I still think, in my heart a little bit, it would be really cool to see him play back in Pittsburgh. But the Colts, the Bears is another good one as well. And if he goes to the Chiefs, it's all over, man.
Yeah. Telling you, the Chiefs, baby, it's easy. Sign it up. Let's get it done.
Well, those are all great choices, guys. So I guess we're going to find out in the coming days where Le'Veon is going to end up. So with that being said, a big tragedy hit the field at the AT&T Stadium on Sunday. Dak Prescott officially out for the remainder of the season, suffering a compound fracture and dislocation of his right ankle. So the question is, Luca, what are the chances for Dallas to still win the NFC East?
First off, I just want to say, guys, I don't know about you, but watching that game on Sunday after he went down, it was hard to watch. And I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I enjoy watching that team play, and you just see like the energy of the game was just sucked out right away as soon as he went down. To see Dak cry like that, I mean, it was really tough to watch. All the best for him. I hope he comes back stronger than ever because he was having a great year so far. But answering your question, Chantel, I think Dallas, they're still in it because of their division. Let's just be completely honest right now. Andy Dalton, he's a reliable backup, I think. Probably one of the better backups in this league. In Cincinnati, he went to the playoffs multiple times, couldn't get a win under Marvin Lewis, but he showed some promise. Now he goes to a team that, has a lot of weapons on that offense. Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Zeke. This offensive line isn't what it once used to be, but he's used to playing behind bad offensive lines anyways in Cincinnati. And, yeah, the one problem with Andy Dalton, the only thing I'm going to say is I feel bad for him because his defense is probably even worse than it was in Cincinnati. This has been a terrible Cowboys defense. They showed some promise against a team that, like I said last week, scored one touchdown before week 1, and they allowed them to score 30-plus points on them. So I think they're still going to be fine, in this division because Washington, the Giants, and even Philly, they're just so inconsistent. So is Dallas, but I still think they can win because I think Andy Dalton is more than capable of getting wins down the stretch.
Yeah, Luca, I basically, agree with everything you said. Washington, New York, trash, get them out of here. The Eagles are basically the only competitor to the Dallas Cowboys right now. And Carson Wentz, I used to be a Carson Wentz guy. Like, I love this guy. But the MVP, well, not the MVP, but the year he should have won it, gets injured, torn ACL. We haven't seen that Carson Wentz. And this year has probably been his worst year as a pro so far. So it's basically going to be the Eagles, who are already banged up, and the Dallas Cowboys, who, they're banged up on the offensive line a little bit and at the linebacking position. But you said it. Andy Dalton's probably the best backup in football right now. Maybe it was Nick Foles. We know he's the starter now. So Andy Dalton, and we know, like you mentioned, his time in Cincinnati, he last year had to deal with an injured A.J. Green, who I don't think even got into a game. And how he dealt with Tyler Eifert, who was injured basically every single season. And he only started to get Tyler Boyd recently. Tyler Boyd, I believe he was a second rounder out of Pitt, and he only started to find himself in these last few years. Now you've got Amari Cooper, who's a proven Pro Bowler, CeeDee Lamb, who, other than, Justin Jefferson, looks like probably the best rookie receiver right now. And I believe he's 6th right now in yards in the NFL. And Michael Gallup, who's proven quite a bit. I think this is a solid offense for him, and it takes a bit of pressure off of him. When you think about this, isn't where you're dealing with the Baltimore, you're dealing with the Pittsburgh, you're dealing with the up-and-coming Browns. There's already 2 teams who are out of the race, right? It's going to be you and the Eagles. And you don't have to, basically quarterback this team to a 13-3 record. You basically need 8-8 and you're in. So, yes, tragic for Dak Prescott. Felt terrible. Will he be with the Cowboys next year? I don't know. Will he still get paid? Hopefully so. But right now, Andy Dalton has to lead the way. And I think with all the weapons surrounding him, he can still do a pretty damn good job.
So the question is, do you think that Dallas is going to be able to succeed now that Dak is gone? That's the question. Do I think Andy Dalton is capable? I think he's capable. Do I think he has weapons around him? He definitely has the weapons around him. Should be easy for him. Shouldn't be a problem. But that defense, my God, 24th rated in the league. I think the average QBR they're giving up right now is 115.7 to opposing QBs. Like, when you look at numbers like that and you think about that, like, they may win this division, but what are you going to do hit playoffs? Like, against some of these better teams that you're going to have to face in the playoffs, it's not going to be the same. The caliber always elevates in the playoffs. So for them to really make that move, I think everything really relies on that defense. I think Andy Dalton will be setting that offense. That offense, he'll be able to work with it. He's a very functional quarterback. The red rifle, bring him back, bring him back. I remember those days. He was hot those days. He could do work. I believe in him. I think he'll be able to lead this offense. But I think the problem with the defense and Mike Nolan is this scheme coming in right now, these defensive players have to switch their whole mind, switch everything they're doing. And because of the whole pandemic, they haven't had time to learn the system that well. So instead, you're seeing a lot of people hesitating to make tackles, hesitating to make plays, and it's not coming naturally to them. I just hope that maybe within, these next couple of weeks coming up, 4 to 5 weeks, that they can somehow bring that defense together. I've heard a lot of players on that defense talking about how they got to step up. Xavier Woods is saying people need to step up and make plays. DeMarcus Lawrence was calling them soft. So I think that's really going to elevate these guys in the next couple of weeks to bring up their game. And I think that defense is going to play, not only the defense, but the offense will play through that heart of Dak, knowing that if he was out there, he'd give his all. So I think all of them are going to show up. I don't think it's a big competition between them and the Eagles, but I see Dallas pulling it out. So they should make the playoffs. They're in a good set. They're in a good system. They should be able to roll downhill from here on out.
Those are great points, guys. So it looks like we're all in agreement. Dallas can still continue to be a major contender in their division. So this is going to be really exciting to see. So talking about contenders, that leads right into my next question. What have the current winning teams changed this season that got them out of their previous losing record? Nolan, can you give us some insight about that?
Yeah, so, there's some teams who were, not very good last year, owned a losing record, and what have they done to improve that? I did 3 teams in each conference. So I put the Las Vegas Raiders, coming off an upset victory of the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think they're smarter now, and I think it was Mike Mayock who came over, general manager. He's running the show there. They have some really good, solid defenders, and I think who leads that is Jonathan Abram. I think the kid's an absolute stud at the safety position. He runs all over the field, and he doesn't take a play off. He just runs his heart out. I think Josh Jacobs, he's kind of made himself maybe a top 8 back in the NFL. Derek Carr, he actually has a few weapons now, right? Darren Waller and Henry Ruggs. I didn't like him being the first receiver taken in the draft. He looked terrific the other day. An absolute burner, and that's what they need. So I think now that they have a few pieces here on offense, and they do have some defenders. Max Crosby, had a solid year. I believe he finished second in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting last year. Cleveland Farrell has to come around a little bit. But the Raiders were a team, I think they could actually be a contender. The Browns, we know where they are right now. It's going to see where they come back with Nick Chubb, because that running game is damn good. Can Baker Mayfield stop turning the ball over in the fourth quarter? That's a question as well. And the Colts. The Colts, how far can Phillip Rivers take this team? We mentioned Le'Veon Bell potentially going there. That would be a good spot for them. It's basically they almost, to me, seem like the Bears or the Jaguars from a few years back, where their offense wasn't very good, but their defense could keep them in games. And quickly, NFC, Chantel, your Cardinals, they lose Chandler Jones for the rest of the year. That's going to be tough because their defense isn't very good. Their offense has to improve a little bit. Sure, we saw signs of that against the Jets, but it's the Jets. The Chicago Bears. And again, I think we all picked Tampa Bay to beat Chicago the other day, and we were all proven wrong by Nick Foles once again. So Chicago, their defense is going to be good. Hey, and like you mentioned, Luca, if they get Lev Bell and David Montgomery, I love David Montgomery coming out of Iowa State. He hasn't shown me enough right now to be that number 1 back for that team. I think Chicago is a contender. And the other team I put, shockingly enough, I thought this team was going to be in a running for the number 1 overall pick. How about the Carolina Panthers? Right now, they're surprising everybody. Teddy Bridgewater, this is without Christian McCaffrey, right? Mike Davis is putting up like 140 yards from scrimmage a game. And they have 2 really good receivers. I thought DJ Moore was going to have an insane year. It's Robbie Anderson, the guy who's been the number 1 there for a little bit. Their defense is still really, really bad, but they're playing for their coach, Matt Rule, right now. Of those, the 6 teams I said, teams that had losing records last year, and now they're winning right now, I think the Raiders are a team to look out for in the AFC, and the Bears right now. I'm looking forward to a Bears-Packers game and seeing how Aaron Rodgers and that offense deals with that D.
I like where you're going. I really like everything you said, Nolan, with all those teams. So I feel like you singled out the contenders. I want to single a couple of those guys who are pretenders to me. I think that the Colts, I'm not too sure. I mean, they have a great defense, 7th ranked defense in the league. They look great, but that offense looks so anemic at times. Like, there's no deep route players. Everything's underneath. It's short routes to the running back, short routes to the tight ends, just the way Phillip Rivers likes it. And I don't think that's going to fly this entire time for, 16 games. I don't think it's going to be something that they can hold down. Like, the problem is, I think that defense has also seen a lot of weak quarterbacks. And I think the best quarterbacks they've seen was either Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins so far. And I think on the upcoming schedule, they have Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and I think Ryan Tannehill coming up. So that's an elevated quarterback position that you're going to have to see in the next couple of weeks to really test that defense. And those offenses are no joke either. So the question is, are you guys going to be able to balance out for the rest of the season in your division to somehow pull up over Tennessee and take over that position? Or can you guys sneak into a wild card spot? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, I don't think the Colts are quite there yet. I don't really see it. I think they just might be faking the funk right now. And on top of that, I'm also going to go and say, I like Carolina. I really do. But that biggest problem for me is that division. That division with Tampa Bay and New Orleans, who you got to compete with, and everyone's looking to them. And I think those two teams just elevate their games at certain times. I mean, I know Tom Brady, Drew Brees, we get the clock's running, and they're getting kind of old, but they still out there balling. They're doing what they got to do. But what's it called? Tom might have lost this week, but Drew, wow, that was a big win for these guys coming back in that game to win that game 30-27, like huge. The issue I see for the Panthers though is in 4 or 5 of their next upcoming games, they're facing talented plus 500 teams. They got the Bears, they got the Saints, they got the Bucks, they got the Chiefs, and then somewhere in there Atlanta, but nobody really cares about that. So in 4 of those 5 games, the question is, can you somehow come out with a winning record, 3-1 at least, to say that you guys now sitting there, if you beat the Saints, if you beat the Bucks, you're going to be leading your division. So if you can do that, Carolina Panthers, I think you guys can be contenders. But for now, I'm looking at you as pretenders, but I'm scared of Christian McCaffrey. If they're playing like this now, just wait till CMC comes back. Could be scary.
You guys make great points. And it's interesting because, Nolan, you touched on the Browns, and you said it right there. Baker's not playing that well. Like, he's not playing that good, and they're still winning football games. Nick Chubb out, still winning football games. And I know you probably like Browns a little bit because your former offensive coordinator is now the head coach, and he's doing a pretty good job over there, I think.
Yep.
But you know what, guys? I think Cleveland right now, I think out of the 3 teams you mentioned, Nolan, I think they're the best team. Now, the only problem with that is their division. And they got the Steelers, and they got Baltimore. And, you look at Vegas, yeah, they have Kansas City, but they don't have to go through the gauntlet like, the Browns do, right? Because against Pittsburgh, 2 tough games. They've already got pummeled by Baltimore. They're going to play them again. And, Cincinnati, you never know. They could pull out a game here or 2 there, right? The Chargers are a good team. Denver's a good team. But I think Vegas right now has proven that they are a team to be scared of. I mean, they beat the Saints already. Now they beat Kansas City. And so you're looking at it from that aspect. I think right now you look at the AFC, it's going to come down to a very competitive AFC. Now, that even though there's 7 teams, the division winners are all there, right? You got Buffalo, New England. One of them is in a wild card spot. Is it Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland? I think there we go. There's 2 wild card spots right there. So where does that leave Vegas? Where does that leave, Indianapolis, like you said, if Tennessee's winning their division? So it's going to come down to the wire. I think right now, the team out of those 3 that you said in the AFC, I think the Raiders have the best shot just because I think the Chiefs are top of that division. I think the Raiders can beat everybody else in theirs. And then you go over to the NFC. Chicago showed me something. Their defense is no joke. Khalil Mack, everyone forgot about this guy, but did you see Brady rolling his eyes? It's like, this guy again? Again? Yeah, this guy again. He's just unbelievable. They stole him. Okay, let's just make that clear. They stole him from the Raiders, paid him big money, and that's what you got to do for superstar talent like that. He has changed this defense. He reminds me of Calais Campbell when he first went to Jacksonville, how he changed that defense. This is what Khalil Mack is doing in Chicago, and he's a big reason why. I'm always big on the quarterback game, but if you look on the defensive side of the football, he is a game changer. Just like we talked about Aaron Donald, this guy is right there next to him in that conversation, and he's a big reason why Chicago is so dominant in a tough division as well. Minnesota is better than their record says. No, I know that hurts for you to hear, but they're better than that record says, and they are in a tough division with Green Bay as well. But I think the Bears can do this. I think they can make the playoffs. Nick Foles, he's a veteran in this league. He won a Super Bowl. Guys, how many guys can say that they've won a Super Bowl? I know he didn't play every single game, but he went to the playoffs and played fantastic. Outdueled Tom Brady. He did all of that. You got to give it to him. So I think Chicago right now is the contender of the 3 teams you said, Nolan, just because of their defense. And if they get Le'Veon Bell, like I said, that team is going to be tough to beat. Really like Matt Nagy as a head coach. Those are my 2 contenders of what you said, Nolan. Really good list, by the way. And next year, there's probably going to be some random team that's on there again. Like, we never know what happens in the NFL, but it's shaping up to be a really good season so far.
Okay, wow, those were a lot of really great points, guys. We discussed quite a few teams there. So just so we're clear, okay, so biggest contender and pretender. Let's list one contender. Nolan, starting with you.
So my contender, I am going to say the Raiders. I think I've seen enough so far. Big win against the Saints, and the Saints have been on and off. But the Chiefs, I think they were all of our number one team, and they made them look really bad. Like I know that there's games where Patrick Mahomes struggles. He struggled for a little bit in that game, and the Raiders look good. Yeah. And in the NFC, it's got to be the Bears. We've seen them win that division recently, and now it's a Nick Foles who's a better quarterback than Trubisky. And they still have some decent rookies. Jalen Johnson at corner has been playing pretty well for them so far. I'm going to say the Bears and the Raiders.
Raiders and Bears. Okay, so Steven, one of each. Two for you.
I really can't even go against that. I think defense wins championships. And I think both those defense on the Raiders and the Bears, they both have defenses that can come out there and just knock the taste out of your mouth anytime you think you're feeling yourself. That Bears secondary, my God, we barely talk about them. They got 2 lockdown corners over there, 2 lockdown corners, and their safeties are no joke. Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack, like my guy Luca was saying, like, that's scary to look at as a quarterback from the other side of the field, for sure. So looking at the Raiders, I think John Gruden has them right. I don't know if people believed in Chucky before, but Chucky's showing out now. He's showing that, you know what, give me 1-2 years. Let me slowly build this team. My motivation into each and every single one of these players, he has them playing like his attitude. So, yeah, the Raiders and the Bears, I think you two are contenders right now, no doubt.
Okay. And so, Luca, you also mentioned the Bears for sure. So who's your other pick?
Yeah, the Bears in the NFC, and it's between the Raiders and the Browns. I'm going to pick the Raiders as well just because of what I said with the division. To be completely honest with you guys, I think the Browns are a better team. But because of the circumstances with the schedule and divisions and things like that, I just think the Raiders have a better shot. Just plain and simple. That's why I'm going to say that they're a contender. But, I mean, you never know, really. The Raiders could just fall off the face of the earth in the next couple of weeks, and Cleveland can go back to being Cleveland. So you just never know what's going to happen. I'm going to go with the Raiders right now. Okay.
All right, guys. So we've got the Raiders and the Bears, mostly unanimous between you guys. So that's great. On to my next question. So Chase, tell us, who's the best defensive player of the season so far and why?
So I was looking at this, and I had a couple names come up. And there was one thing that interested me when I was looking at who I was looking at. I wanted to look and see who was the last rookie to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. And if we go back to 1981, that was Lawrence Taylor who did that. If we're looking this year, I think Patrick Queen has a shot to do it, man. I think Patrick Queen might be that guy to step up. I mean, it's a short sample size of these 5 games we've seen. And I know you guys are, I don't know if
he's a good player. He's a good player.
If you look at it, he's leading the number 1 defense in the league right now. He's the middle linebacker, calling the plays, calling the shots for that defense right now. And they're the best defense in the league. On top of that, this kid's coming out there. He's racking up the tackles. I believe he has, 42 total tackles right now. He has his 2 sacks. He has 2 fumble recoveries, 2 forced fumbles. He has a TD that just happened this weekend. He's building up week by week, ramping up his reps, and he's getting better. He's seeing the field what can I say? The game's slowing down for him. He's starting to see where the plays are going. He's starting to break down plays little by little. I know he's a rookie, guys, but I got to give this guy his dues. He's worth every dollar that they went out and got him for in the draft, for sure. I think that Patrick Queen has a shot at being the best defensive player of the year right now. Am I walling? Am I out of line, guys? I don't know. I might be out of line, but I like what the kid showed me so far. I love what he's shown me.
I mean, it's hard to go against a guy who's played that amazing, right, in his first couple of games in his career. And, like you said, he's on an exceptionally well-coached defense great offense by great defense. That's just success written all over it, right? And then you
got
had a
Aaron
guy.
Donald. Aaron Donald's pointing fingers at me like right now. Like, what are you talking about, boy? I know.
You're not lining up against them though, so you're all right. You're okay right now. Guys, I really like tjwatt, and I picked Minka for my defensive player of the year, and I was going to pick tjwatt, but because of how well Minka played, I was like, you know what? Let's be the different guy here. Let's go with Minka. But to be real, tjwatt, he's the anchor of that defense. Every single year, he gets better and better. And I'm not just going to talk about his pass rush. Sorry, he could sack the quarterback. We know that he could force fumbles. We know that. But his coverage skills are unbelievable. He's so underrated when it comes to – he reminds me of a KJ Wright in when he drops back and things like that. KJ Wright, again, another guy who's underrated in pass coverage. This guy is exceptional at it. You see them, Pittsburgh 3-4 defense, so they rush a lot of their outside linebackers. But when he has to drop back, you don't want to throw to him. You really don't, And so when he's in that area, he can cause a fumble. He can cause an interception. He can wreck up a play just by himself. He has the making of becoming a true superstar in this league if he's not already there. And I think right now, leading a team like Pittsburgh, like you said, right, Patrick Queen leading that defense. Well, how about Pittsburgh? They're one of the best defenses in the league as well. And this guy's the main reason why year in, year out, he gets the protection that they need. I think tjwatt right now is my pick. He just seems to be jumping off my screen every time I watch Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I like both those picks, guys. Patrick Queen caught me off guard a little bit, but, I'm going to stay in division, and I'm obviously not going to pick, any defender on the Cincinnati Bengals right now. So I'm going to go the obvious choice. I'm going to go Myles Garrett. And he's just been absolutely terrific. 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 7 quarterback hurries. He hasn't missed a tackle so far this season. He's been absolutely terrific. I think you could say a lot of names. tjwatt was my pick to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's in the running for that right now. Of course, Aaron Donald, he had 4 sacks the other day. He might win his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year, but I don't know. I just see a lot from Myles Garrett right now, and I think because of the way he's playing, he's keeping his team in games at times. When the offense has struggled in moments, he comes up and makes a really big play. So right now, Myles Garrett is my Defensive Player of the Year choice.
Those are all great choices, guys. I am definitely in agreement. So that brings us to our top 5 teams from week 5. I actually have a surprise for you guys because I actually added somebody new to my roster. So,
did you take the Saints out?
Funny you mentioned that because they are in my number 5. I don't know if you remember last week. I had them tied with Buffalo. Yeah. And after last night's game, I had to boot Buffalo out of there. I kept the Saints at 5. But guys, my number 4, I put in the Rams. They're 4-1. They're just doing so good right now. And I really, really, really think that, I needed to just put them in there. I think they're going to do well. They've been really consistent the past few weeks. So I officially did that. Number 3 is I've got Baltimore, a strong 3rd. I had to move Kansas City from 1 to 2. I was disappointed with that game. Las Vegas just handed it to them. So I kind of booted them down from 1 to 2. And I have the Seahawks at number 1. That game against Minnesota, they were down 13-0. And they just came back and took that win within a matter of seconds.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know how Russell Wilson pulled that off. But, I mean – that was commendable. So I had to put them at number 1. So Luca, you're up next.
Yeah. All right. I was going to have Nolan just kind of go there, but I'll go right now. My list is completely different from previous weeks, new teams. I'm going to start here. Number 5, Kansas City. I'm moving them down all the way to 5. And I'm going to tell you guys why. I came here on the show last week and I said I was debating putting them 2 because I don't like what I've seen in a couple of games this season. Now they lost. And that's 3 games now out of the 5 where they have looked shaky at best. And you can go back to, the New England game. They ended up winning. Yes, they won. Chargers game, tight game, divisional game again. Yes, they won. But the Raiders, the score really doesn't tell the full story there. Yeah, it was won by 1 possession, but the Raiders just dominated that whole game. And I think right now for Kansas City they're still a fantastic team. When you have Patrick Mahomes, you're still in it every single week. But right now, the amount of games they played, they've had more shaky games than games where they've been dominant like we all thought they were. That's why I'm going to keep them there at number 5. At number 4, I have Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense, I've kind of kept them off my top 5 for the last couple of weeks. But you know what? It's hard to argue with a team that's undefeated. Let's be realistic here. The defense is great. Ben Roethlisberger, ever since that surgery, he looks like he's back. Just a different Pittsburgh team just because of Ben, right? Last year they went through all these quarterbacks and all that. Him, Chase Claypool, guys, the Canadian, shout out to him, man. What a game he had on Sunday. Fantastic. He's filling in nicely for Deontay Johnson injury. Juju Smith-Schuster, a great teammate. He does what he has to do. He has to clear guys open. He has to catch footballs when he needs to catch them. He's great. I'm going to have him there at number 4. Number 3, this team dominated the team we all thought was fantastic, and that's Buffalo. So Tennessee comes in here at number 3. They are showing me something here. Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill. It was between him and Kirk. I said at the beginning of the year to you, Nolan, best play-action quarterback in the league. I think Tannehill is kind of maybe surpassing your guy Kirk there in Minnesota. He's fantastic when he got that run game going. Yes, it is, Steven.
Nah, it's Kirk Cousins. It's Kirk Cousins, trust me. Kirk Cousins is a fake handoff king.
You saw Ryan Tannehill, fantastic game again last night. I think he was great for Tennessee. Big reason why they're undefeated as well. Number 2, can't bring Green Bay down just because they didn't play. They're still a dominant team. I think Green Bay right now, Aaron Rodgers, the team that they have, no Devontae Adams still putting up production. Number 1, Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Week in, week out. Doesn't matter how close the game is. They always find a way to get back into games. Russell Wilson, he's the real deal. Metcalf, Lockett, Carson, I can go on and on. This team, best team in the NFL so far.
All right, I'll be pretty quick with mine. I have a similar list. Some teams had to move down. I think this was the hardest one we had to do.
Yeah.
Just because so many teams lost and there's still a few undefeateds there. Your Titans, I put them at 5. And I think they really showed how good of a team they are. There is some question marks. Still, their competition so far this season has been really, really awful. And then the best team they faced, they basically had 14 days off to face them. So that was my only question mark. They had plenty of time to prepare for the Buffalo Bills, and they proved it. They kicked their butt all over the field last night. 4, the Steelers. The Steelers are a really good team. Their offense was clicking quite a bit, again, against the Eagles, who aren't very good at all. But again, their defense shines. And I think with Claypool, if Deontay Johnson's healthy and Juju Smith-Schuster, that is a terrific trio of wide receivers right there. And if James Conner can light it up like we saw him, I believe in his second year, once Lev Bell held out, that is where I think this offense can really propel. 3rd, that's where I have my Kansas City Chiefs. They just didn't, prove a lot to me against the Vegas Raiders there. They struggled, and you mentioned a few times there. The Chargers game, they probably should have lost that one. Hey, the Pats, they didn't look great in that one as well. So that's where I'm going to put them at 3. 2, Seattle. I think just Seattle, they've had a few games here back-to-back. The Dolphins, come on. You got to blow that team out of the water. And
spite.
Yeah. And
spiting them.
No, they're still a terrific team, but Vikings up 13-0. You're in your own building. The Vikings aren't a good team. They aren't. Their defense is terrible. You have young corners, and we saw that in the end of the game. Cameron Dantzler, I don't know where you were going on that fourth down to Metcalf. Obviously, he's getting the ball, and he just looked lost out there. So, I get it. A great comeback against the Vikings, but still, I figured you'd be blowing them out as usual. And number 1, I'm going to put the Green Bay Packers. They hate to do it. They look great right now. Their offense is rolling. And guess what? Next week, Devontae Adams should be back. That offense should be able to put up 40-plus again. So a really different top 5. I'm assuming it's going to change again next week. But Packers take my top spot this week.
All right. So I guess that's on to me. So Nolan, our lists look pretty similar. I'm not going to lie. Down pretty much up to the last 2 spots. So, yeah, I got Tennessee in 5. Number 4, that's where I got the Steelers. Number 3, I got KC. But our number 1s and number 2, I can't put a team that didn't play in the week into the number 1 spot. Are you crazy? I can't have Green Bay. These guys had a bye week, and I'm going to say, yeah, you guys jumped to number 1 because you know what? No team is better than you on a bye week. So I'm going to leave in my number 2 for that bye week. I just feel like Seattle, you know what? You had a rough go. It was a difficult time. It took you until literally the last seconds of that game to win. Ticking down to get a play to DK to have the touchdown goal. But you know what? They did what they had to do. And in the game of football, a win's a win. No matter what you go through, no matter what happened before that last buzzer hits and the game's done, doesn't matter. You guys went out there. You guys got a W. Luckily, they have a bye week this week, so they'll be able to get right. They have a couple injuries that they're going to need to straighten out with Quinton Dunbar, Jamal Adams. You want your best players back on the field, especially for that defense that has a lot of holes and issues with it. But I can see Seattle's going to sit there at that number 1 spot for a bit. But the issue is Green Bay coming up next week. And like you said, Devontae Adams coming back. The Steelers are picking up heat right now. And I think that they're going to be a top 5 staple for the rest of the season. Where these other teams fit out, I don't know. I could see Baltimore having a chance to move back up. But for now, top 5, like I said, we got Tennessee, we got Pittsburgh, we got Kansas City, we got Green Bay, and then Seattle in that number 1 spot.
All right. Okay, so there you have it. Our top 5 picks heading into week 6. That concludes our episode for today. Thank you so much for joining us on Touchdown with True Sports, brought to you by Pickups, your everything on demand delivery app. We'll see you next week.